is Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Send us some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you're going through something and you need them out there today. So I want to start this video with by saying thank you to all of you guys out there for the positive reception on the video, titled something along the lines of "It took me 5 years to make this video" that I released a day or two ago on this channel. A lot of you really appreciated me being very candid without being vitriolic about this genre of game and just making you guys aware of the casino that we're playing in right now. And then, you know, once you're armed with that knowledge, go ahead and enjoy yourself. And in that vein, I want to make kind of a follow-up video, but you don't have to watch part 1 to watch part 2, so you don't have to go back and watch, but you should, I guess, if you ever pull shards, right? Today, along those same lines, listen, I just finished a book called The Courage to Be Disliked, okay? It was a pretty good book. It had kind of a somewhat radical psychology behind it, though, based off Alfred Adler, right? Where I'm going here is basically the story that we tell ourselves about past trauma, about the story that we're always weaving about ourselves in life, right? Not just in Raid, right? But the story that we're weaving about ourselves, the story that we're repeating time and time again. It could be something as simple as, "Oh, I suck at public speaking. I get too nervous," whatever it may be, or "I'm way too afraid to fly," or something like that, right? That story in and of itself, that is the problem, right? That is the problem. And basically, we are what we tell ourselves, and we need to get out of that trap, get out of that trap, that cycle of negativity, or that cycle of definition based on just things that we repeat with our subconscious to ourselves. So anyway, that's kind of the really butchering of what that book is about. But it got me thinking, what are some lies or some stories or narratives that all of us, even if we don't think it can be us, I'm talking subconscious here. I'm not saying you say these things out loud every day. These subconscious thoughts can creep into our heads playing a game like Raid Shadow Legends. So with that said, I give you 5 lies that players tell ourselves in Raid Shadow Legends that just aren't true. So lie number 1 might be kind of an obvious one, but it is, "This champion will finally fix my account or unlock some important progression on my account." Basically, this champion right now is what I need. I really need this champion. Well, this is quite an obvious lie, and I can raise my hand and say that I have been saying this, or one way or another, I've been believing this. God, how many shard opening videos do I have at this channel at this point? For 6+ years? Look at my account roster, right? This is not some sort of a humble brag. Trust me, it's far from it. But I'm sitting on, +4 mythicals and legendaries galore. But yet I still find a way to convince myself. Maybe it's just for the content. We all have our reasons. I worked hard today. I grinded. I worked overtime this week. We all have our reasons that we can play some mental gymnastics into talking ourselves into why this champion is different. How many times do I wail out for one specific champion? I've done it already in Assassin's Creed like 3 or 4 times. And look at all the champions that I have. One might say that I have enough. Listen, the truth is, and I say this all the time to you guys, when you pull a champion, right? You pull a new champion, congratulations. But that is only half the battle. Honestly, it might be less than half the battle pulling the new champion or completing that new fusion, right? We're talking awakenings, we're talking relics, masteries, gear, ascension, what else? Skill ups, right? Skill tomes. There's so much more that has to be factored in beyond just getting lucky enough to pull a champion or acquire a champion that we don't always take into consideration. Sometimes we get a great champion, it might not even be what we need to help our account, even if every stupid YouTuber, mainly just me, is saying that it's going to be a game changer, right? Honestly, all you got to do is choose wisely in the type of champions that you invest in, and that's going to be different for every single account out there. Sometimes even a great champion might not be the thing that you need on your account right now. You might not need that endgame PvP phenom champion. You might need just a xenomorph who you already have for free that can help you progress in the areas that you need it on your account. Also, with some of these free champions, some of these login reward champions, they can also be easier to upgrade because we have opportunities to get their souls and whatnot that we wouldn't have for champions that we have to pull from shards. So honestly, this champion being what you need to unlock and progress in Raid Shadow Legends, yeah, that's usually a lie that we tell ourselves. Lie number 2 is I'm losing because everybody else has better champions. This is a big one, man. This is almost very embarrassing to say, But even me, even when I take an L to somebody with all +4 fully awakened mythical champions, even though I also have +4 fully awakened mythical champions on my account, just not as many as some of the top whales, I can even catch myself thinking, well, yeah, you know, whatever, I don't have those champions, I don't have nice. You just fixate on what you don't have. And ain't that the story of life, ladies and gentlemen? You think about, you worry about, and you think, if only, right? So losing, listen, there's a lot of creators out there that charge for account takeover services. Now, I have never done this personally, but I've logged into a lot of accounts in my day. Friends, whatever, even like a family member or two, and just people that come and see me in real life. If you see me out, you show me your raid account. I don't care. Many people have done it, right? So I take a look, and sometimes I don't even have the heart to say, because the first thing they go to is, look at my roster. Look at my roster. What do you think of my roster? What do you think of my champions? And then they'll complain sometimes, or lament about, you know, fusions that they didn't have, or champions they don't have, or they only have 2 mythicals. I only have 1. I have no mythicals, right? You focus on what you don't have. But the truth is, most of those players, in my anecdotal experience, and most of all the account takeover videos on YouTube, there's hundreds of them, literally, from other creators taking over an account. What do you see there? Time and time and time again. It's the gear. It's the gear. But what does the gear not have that Pulling Champions does have in Raid Shadow Legends? It doesn't have all of the flashy, dopamine triggering casino effects on gear. Sure, if you craft a mythical piece, it turns mythical colors or whatever. But I'm talking, it doesn't have all the infrastructure of psychological manipulation behind it that gives you that big dopamine spike when you get a good piece of gear. Whether you're free to play or whether you spend on this game. Let me just take $20 just as a global example, right? €20, $20, 20 pounds, whatever you're rocking, right? $20 spent on shards for 99% of accounts in almost every situation is way worse spent than $20 on energy, right? And that applies just in the basics, right? Going for a tournament that has energy rewards versus shard rewards. We want to go where the dopamine is. But focus more. It's not about I'm losing because everybody else has better champions. Those players are losing because everybody else has better gear. Keep in mind, the end game accounts in Raid Shadow Legends, the type of people that you see on the leaderboards, right? They are on the dungeon leaderboards. They're farming 24 hours a day, some of them, around the clock. Now, you don't need to do that because of lie number 5, which we'll get to in a little bit here. You don't need to do that. I'm not saying you need to farm around the clock. I'm just saying that to compete in this game, you should be focused on gear. Gear, and the champions will come. But gear, it's not going to come. You're going to have to farm it. So focus more on gear. Focus more on upgrading the right roles that you need for your account right now to progress in the areas that only you know. Not some talking head like yours truly on YouTube, that only you know that you need right now, and less on what you don't have in terms of champions. Lie number 3. This can be 2 ways, so I'll give it to you 2 versions of lie number 3. Number 1 is, I'm endgame. I don't need to do the normal modes of everything in the game. Faction Wars, bad example, pretend I didn't click that. But I'm endgame. I don't need to do Doom Tower normal track. I'm endgame. I don't need to do Curse City normal, boring. And I'm endgame. I don't need to touch the normal mode of Grim Forest. I've said this before. I don't want to pander to you guys because I know it's a popular idea for obvious reasons. But man, once you've cleared all of a normal mode in this game, I think one of the best time savers, and honestly one of the biggest benefits for the player base, is to have an instant clear option only for normal mode for folks out there who can clear that. Now, the inverse of this might be, I'm a new player, I don't need to focus on these newer areas of the game, provide you're, high enough level to unlock that content. No, if you're a new player, focus on everything that you can, right, given time constraints. But, go into the arena in the beginning. Go into Faction Wars and make the progress that you can. Even if you have to level up champion to level 40 just to use in the interim to make some progression, to get those glyphs, right? Focus on everywhere that you're able to because the rewards are quite good. But endgame players, man, I've been guilty of not finishing normal track in some areas from time to time. Listen, ultimately time is a big issue in this game. But if you have the time to do so, prioritize going and doing and completing the normal mode. Number one is if you're already completing the end game content, the hard mode in these areas, normal mode's gonna be at least fast, right? You're gonna be able to blow through it, no big deal. But number two, all those rewards. If you could just see everything you're getting from Doom Tower, Cintranos, and Grim Forest normal mode, you might hesitate or pause before deciding to skip it next time. There's a lot of things you can skip in this game, but the normal modes, in my opinion, really shouldn't be it. You can skip a day or two or whatever. You can skip some days. You have some extra time, right? You don't need to grind it every single day. But golly, try to. Think of all the haste glyphs. We're talking dozens of speed or haste glyphs. We're talking the best gear in the game, Mercurial, Supersonic, and Merciless sets. Even in normal mode, I've used Chaos Ore on trip or quad rolls, even quint rolls, and walked away with something beautiful out of it. I've gotten some really good gear. It's not going to be the norm in normal mode, but these sets are so valuable, you should not pass this up. I'm not even counting in, all the other stuff, right? All the brews and the potions and the silver and whatnot and energy. It really does add up. So if you're endgame, do normal mode. The rewards are free, no energy required, and you'll definitely thank yourself later. Lie number 4. I need to pull shards in order to progress in Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, sure, eventually you'll have to pull a shard or two playing this game, right? To go for the fusion, summon, rush, etc., etc. But honestly, just kind of like lie number 1 and lie number 2, pulling shards is not as important as people think it is, especially nowadays in Raid Shadow Legends. The dirty little secret that Plarium doesn't want to talk about is that through the years, they've having to give and give and give more, right, to the player base to keep them satisfied. And one of the ways that they do this is actually give a lot of good free champions. Look at the most meta champions in this game right now, right? One's a fusion in PvP and Lord Entertainer Fabian. I made a whole video on the big 3 in PvP right now. Another one is Embry's the Anomaly. Again, he's a mythical, but he's a mythical that players can get, right? Carnage is in the conversation, of course. Marius, right, is right there. Another champion that you can get just by playing the game. You know, that's all you need to do. You just need to play the game. They give you so many free champions in this game, but they're always psychologically, and that ties back to I waited 5 years to make this video, or I tried to make that video I talked about at the opening, right? It goes back into, again, the psychological strength of them pulling you to the summoning portal and all the FOMO that goes inside of these progressive chance events. Again, you're going to be 15, 20, 25x. You still have like less than a 1% chance to actually get the champion, you know? You don't need to open shards, right? You don't need to FOMO in this game. You really don't need to, and that leads me to the most important lie that we tell ourselves, number 5. Number 5 is there's 2 things that you'll never see in Raid Shadow Legends YouTube or anywhere else for that matter. Guys, I did it. I finally beat Raid Shadow Legends, unless some random YouTuber's trying to clickbait you, right? Another thing you won't see is, guys, I ruined my account. That's it. I lost at Raid Shadow Legends. What does that mean? There's no winning and there's no losing at Raid Shadow Legends. There's absolutely not. The number 1 player in the world right now, is it Crypto at this time? Who knows? But let's take a look. What are they getting? What is Kong getting right now to be number 1 in the arena? He's not getting anything. He's giving quite a lot to Plarium, right? And hey, I'm a hypocrite because I've done the same, by the way. Nothing against top players. I like the competitive spirit. We all have that. We compete with our clanmates. That's awesome. More power to you. But the thing is even if I was to use a mythical skill tome on a freaking epic champion, right? I'm not going to ruin my account. The truth is, there is no ruining. There's no winning. There's no losing. This game is what you make of it, right? This game is what you make of it. There's not a rush in Raid Shadow Legends. Everything in this game is psychologically built to make you think, I need to act quickly. I need to act now. I need to go for this event. But the truth is, where are you heading towards so fast, right? Enjoy the walk, the slow walk, if that's your style, right? You screw up or you max out a crappy champion, like, I don't know, some of you freaks like Harrier, you know? Do I have him somewhere in there? Somewhere in one of my stupid vaults? There he is. You max out the wrong champion. You didn't ruin your account. You just had a little fun. You got a story to tell. Who cares? Who really cares, right? The truth is, you make mistakes in this game, you learn from them. Just like in life, How you actually enjoy and get better at this game is taking the time to understand what you're doing, A, and B, learning from our mistakes in the game, right? And the beautiful thing is you can't lose. Who are you competing with and what are you competing for? In Raid Shadow Legends, you should just be enjoying yourself, right? If enjoying yourself means competing with your clanmates, stuff like that, more power to you again. But make sure you're not doing things just because you feel this innate weird pressure to do them, just to progress your account. Because what are you aiming for? In 5 years from now, there's all the champions that you've invested in, maybe not all, but let's say 90%, they're going to be power crept. Just like when I was hollering at the rooftops when I pulled Martyr 5 years ago. Guess what? I don't use Martyr nowadays, nor do I use any other champion for the most part that I was clamoring for back in 2019. Harvest Jack, I'm looking at you. So the truth is, guys, there's no rush in this game at all. If you upgrade crappy champions, who cares? Who cares? You can still enjoy the champions that aren't the best. It comes down to identifying what you enjoy the most in the game and leaning into that area more. That is how you win at Raid Shadow Legends. All right, guys, those are 5 lies that we tell ourselves in Raid. Hopefully you found this video, I don't know, maybe a little bit informative, a tiny, teensy bit entertaining, but most importantly, maybe a little bit enlightful. Just a reminder for some of you folks out there that, hey, there's a lot of reasons to play a Raid. There's a hell of a lot of reasons to enjoy Raid, but don't lie to yourself about the things that we mentioned in this video. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.